Welcome to another edition of Motherland. Do well to like and subscribe in order to help us grow more content. Today we'll be looking at the story of the man who really understands Nigeria. In terms of understanding the Nigerian policy, Obasanjo was a master. It is known in political circles that he had a one-term agreement with those who fetched him straight from prison to power. He breached it but managed to defeat them in 2003. Obasanjo had an uncanny ability to understand Nigeria, not just as a different part, but also as a whole. He could seamlessly mentally zoom in and zoom out, work on parts in isolation, at some point expose national values to the whole, at other points, but eyes always fixed on the goal. The Northern Bloc, which had backed him into power, now wanted him out by 2003. They had the numbers to do it. Obasanjo didn't even have his home based. The Southwest had thoroughly rejected him in 1999, and so it was an uphill task ahead of him. Obasanjo understood that the pathway to a second term, even in the face of his northern pushback against it, was still going to cut through the north. He didn't delude himself with that Awolowo pipe dream of a southern stroke middle belt coalition that would somehow unite to win 2003 for him. This was the pipe dream. Let's flash back a little bit. Awolowo in 1979 thought he could cut a pathway across the south in the middle belt to defeat the north. On paper, it was possible, but Awolowo failed for 3 reasons. Let me quickly state the reasons. Number 1 was that he assumed a quasi-ethnic interest is the paramount interest every Nigerian has. Number 2, he did not envisage his old foe, Zeke, would join the race. Number 3, he expected his old middle belt ally, J.S. Taka, would join his coalition. Zeke joined the race. Taka didn't join him, but rather and realigned to reality. Awolowo insisted on trying to impose his fantasy on reality. Awo picked his running mate from Anambra, a sound-minded named Philip Umuadi. To be fair, he had tried to pick a northern vice president, first approaching Yahaya Gusau, and then Ibrahim Tahir, and then Chai Suma from the Middle Belt, but the UPM folks from same region pointed out why Suma wouldn't fly. Suma will attract TV's votes, but in that region, every 30 miles you travel, you meet a completely different ethnicity with different tongues, so it will be hard to capture enough votes based on that tactics. The Middle Belt is not one ethnic monolith or solid power block. The Awo Umuadi ticket picked 4.9 million votes. Shagari Ekweme did 5.7 million to win, and Zeke Audu did 2.8 million. The Awo South/Middle Belt coalition clearly failed. The perception of Awolowo's role in the Civil War also mattered, and that drive home the point of the mutual suspicion in the South. Taka backing away from Awo, despite the previously strongly aligned interest along ethnic lines, also make a point for this story. His interest for the emancipation of the Middle Belt from northern hegemony was long-standing, and he had no greater ally than Awo all along. Taka and Awo had battled the hegemony of the North all through the First Republic, a journey that led them both through the tensions, sometimes at different points in their political career. Now in 1978, their mutual dislike for the hegemony was being tested. MPN, as the rival party to Awolowo, dangled a possibility before Taka. Join us and stand a chance to win our presidential ticket. And because humans have personal desires and aspirations that sometimes overweigh ethnic interest or might serve to advance them, Taka joined MPN. In Taka's mind, if he became president, he would have a chance to redress certain ethnic inequalities. They did not only deny him the ticket, they still snatched the Senate presidency from him at last, and the great man soon died broken-hearted. Away from the throwback within a throwback, Obasanjo in 2003 was not Awolowo. He knew that to defeat whoever the North fielded, he need not to retreat into the South, but solidify his allies in the North, and he went for mainly younger ones who were more liberal than his older peers in the North. First thing Obasanjo did was to pick a PDP national chairman from the Middle Belt, Audu Ogbe, to politically harness the age-long reef of Fulani domination in the zone and the religion factor. Northern Christians were firmly with Obasanjo for a second term in 2003. Next, Obasanjo by all means retained the loyalty of young Northern thugs, even by dangling in front of their eyes the possibility of any of them as his successor. Atiku, El-Rufai, Nuhu Ribadu, Sule Lamido, Kwankwaso, etc. were the foot soldiers who crippled Buhari in the North in 2003. Understand that Obasanjo understood that ethnic interest was not always the paramount interest that humans harbor. People have dreams of personal greatness for their own lives, and he sold it to them in abundance. In Obasanjo's way, why a President Buhari? Why not you? After I'm done, of course. Baba Sule Lamido, as a minister, recalled an encounter where he was almost late getting on board the presidential aircraft because once 001 was in, the door was shut. Lamido rushed past Obasanjo and jumped into the nearest available seat, the one OBJ actually preferred to sit in. Before anyone could correct him, Obasanjo came in and saw him trying to scramble off the seat. Baba chuckled, placed his hands on his shoulders from behind, and told him he might as well get used to the seat as it will one day be his own. Imagine the impact of the moment on Lamido. Lamido and Abubakar Remi had been close allies as followers of Aminu Kano since the Second Republic. One a governor, the other a House of Representative member, and both became ministers under Obasanjo. Remi resigned to contest against Obasanjo. Lamido stayed on and supported Obasanjo against Remi and then Buhari. With Kwankwaso, Obasanjo had a different strategy. Kanu had by then increasingly become the hotbed of Islamic fundamentalists who wanted to create a base for the northern political push against Obasanjo. If Kwankwaso caved in, Obasanjo would lose heavily in Kanu and possibly lose 2003. Obasanjo's tactics was simple. Stay moderate and I will protect your political career by all means. And Kwankwaso, who can be more radical than Shekarau, allowed himself to be outflanked by Shekarau and consequently lost his re-election in 2003, but got an OBJ ministerial appointment. Detour to explain what I see as outflanking in the North. Every governor in power in the North is always at risk of being outflanked by another politician who projects himself as more Islamic than the incumbent governor, and everything is thrown at the incumbent in the process. Why isn't he doing full Sharia? I will do it if you vote me. He appointed a woman commissioner. It is anti-Islam. He's building Western schools. That is haram, and so on. This point is important for this story to understand how Buhari grew his base in the North towards 2003 election. Because prior to that time, when the North wanted power back from Obasanjo, nobody really thought of Buhari as a fundamentalist. That image was carefully contrived in the APP/AMPP structure. First, positioning as the Sharia party, and then positioning Buhari as the rallying point. Attempts had initially been made to project Atiku from within the PDP to replace Obasanjo in 2003, and Obasanjo himself flirted with the idea of picking a more radical Muslim as running mate. Remi was in play, but all that failed, and North looked towards replacing PDP with AMPP in 2003. On a norm, Buhari doesn't really care about almost everything, an essential door and non-personality character, no offense intended. For 2003 though, this man started championing the Northern cause, leading delegations to Oyo State to defend herdsmen, openly committing to Sharia, etc. Obasanjo running with Atiku was quite easy to outflank in the north. Wasn't Atiku the one who allowed Adamawa to have his first and only Christian governor when he insisted Buni Haruna rather than resign in an elaborate political arrangement and then come back as deputy? It became used against Atiku, so Obasanjo competed hard in the north and didn't believe in any fool's gold of a southern/middle belt alliance against Buhari. He could zoom in and zoom out, and even despite the moves he made in the north, he still zoomed in to the southwest where he had lost terribly before in 1999. Obasanjo was never the candidate of the Yorubas in 1999. He was considered a sellout against Awolowo and further against MKO Abiola, but he wasn't deterred and he wooed the then bleeding political elite of the southwest, the Afenifere, almost shamelessly but very assiduously. Meeting after meeting, Obasanjo agreed with them that PDP would not make serious bids for the AD gubernatorial seat in the southwest if they did not field a presidential candidate against him so that Yoruba could vote for him this time. Once they conceded, Iboraowu switched it up. The very first meeting after the INEC deadline for candidate submission has passed, Obasanjo welcomed them to his Ota farm wearing a native buba on a farmer's shorts. According to Egbon Yenka Odumaki, his balls were literally hanging out as he spoke with them almost condescendingly. Trust the elders, they decoded the implication of the slight shift in demeanor. One of the elders wisely pointed out in Yoruba that his balls were literally smiling at us and that the man had something up his sleeves. The rest of that southwest capture by Obasanjo is now history. History is a guide as to what can happen. I can hope my chicken flies as high as the eagle, and some science may even support it happening, but have chicken flown so high before for my belief to be anchored? Yes, I know it once happened in your village, but beside the point, what can happen is very different from what might happen. Nobody goes into any crucial battle with untested and unproven tactics that look like they can deliver victory on paper. That's strategy or fantasy thinking, not strategy based on reality as it is. Too many unknown factors upset even the best laid plans, and no field has more unknown factors than politics, and that's why politicians keep it simple and straightforward in planning, letting the water flow along the easiest route. It's a very lazy way of thinking, to be honest, and that is wrong. I see it. If we will reorder society for the greater good, then something will have to give at some point. And that's why we try to get in with ideals to create good ground for the best to emerge. But we have to start it early enough and pursue the ideal, rather than dissipate energy on what may fly and then rallying at the system for not helping our chickens to fly. We study the system, understand what can work, and then make it work in the direction of our ideals for the good of the society and our own good in the same society. Oh, what got Obasanjo in trouble was what he said of the 1979 election, which was conducted under his military regime. He said, and I quote, "The best candidate may not win," and fellow Yorubas hated him because to them it was a shot fired towards Awolowo, whom they naturally regard as the best candidate. Truth is that democracy is merely a contest of the most popular, not necessarily the most capable, and that's really unfair, but it is what it is, and the most capable must also become the most popular in order to get majority of the votes and to then win in a democracy. I should add that every path always looks valid, but the road often chosen is the path well known or once previously traveled to, or the path easiest to navigate. That's why things rarely change or change too slowly, most times to the detriment of society and our collective good. Of course, without those who defy the chains of the past, the world would have no innovation. Sad therefore that majority of human race 9 out of 10 will do it as it has always been done rather than take a chance in a bold new direction and change the history of the future. Well, this is where we stop in today's edition of Motherland. Do well to like and subscribe in order for you to help us grow our channel and produce more content.